You know, I was today old. Well, actually, not today old, more like 2 days ago old, when I learned that, contrary to popular belief, NBA teams apparently can trade injured players. Yeah. This is Sports Central, part of the Closing Tag Network. So I did briefly mention before I went on my little obligatory LeBron rant um, in the last episode that there's some craziness going on rumor wise in the NBA. So the rumors going about involve mainly three teams: the Lakers, obviously, the Chicago Bulls, obviously, for reasons that I've outlined, and surprisingly enough, the Golden State Warriors. But we'll get into those rumors here in a bit. But first, something that's not a rumor and actually did happen: the Memphis Grizzlies have traded center Steven Adams to the Houston Rockets in exchange for former All-Star Victor Oladipo, 2 second-round picks in 2024, and 1 second-round pick in 2025. Now, the reason why this is big, aside from the fact that if this trade happened 3 years ago, the Grizzlies fans would probably be shitting themselves. But the reason why this is such a big deal is because Steven Adams tore his ACL at the beginning of the season. So he is not cleared and will not be cleared to play again until next year. So I don't know. Oh, and it says here that Oladipo's also been injured all year. I have no idea what anybody's doing at this point. But should be interesting to keep an eye on as far as that trade goes. To me, it seems like a big, kind of canceling out. Neither team really wins, neither team really loses. I guess you could say, depending on who they use those second round picks on, Memphis is going to end up winning the trade. But we won't know for sure until we see either Oladipo or Adams, play again, which it doesn't sound like that's very promising for either side. Sorry, my voice is. Bleh. So, the rumors that are going about for the various teams. Obviously, the Lakers are the Lakers. They're going to do whatever they can to try and improve their team, short of trading LeBron. But that may not even be an issue, depending on where Bronny ends up going. LeBron has already said that he's going to play where his son Bronny is going to go. So if Bronny ends up signing with, say, or being drafted by, say, Charlotte, I mean, right now it doesn't look like Bronny is even going to be drafted according to most mock drafts, because right now he's just stinking up the joint in USC. But the Lakers are going to do what they can to try and better the team. But there are some other players and teams that are kind of in the mix. Right now, the word about the scuttlebutt is that Atlanta is going to try and retool the roster around Trae Young. They ended up losing out. I can't remember the guy's name. He was with Atlanta for a while and then ended up signing somewhere else as a free agent. And then, of course, shortly after that, they ended up trading John Collins to the Jazz. And now it appears that they are going to also trade Clint Capella and DeJounte Murray, obviously in separate trades. Murray is pretty much, not left any doubt in anybody's mind that he's probably not coming back. He's a free agent. He's going to end up being a free agent in June. So if he's not coming back, there's no reason to keep him around. Then you have Charlotte, as I mentioned, Charlotte. They've already traded Terry Rozier. Ended up trading him. Trying to remember. Oh yeah, he went to Miami for Kyle Lowry. There's a good chance they may flip Lowry's contract and try and trade him somewhere else. They may end up just going for a complete rebuild, keeping the young rookies on board and then just letting pretty much everybody else go. And if that's the case, they're going to end up offloading guys like Gordon Hayward, Miles Bridges, and again, Kyle Lowry. They may end up buying Lowry out if they don't find a trade partner. So we'll see what happens there. The Bulls, obviously. The Chicago Bulls are looking to get something in return for DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. They've already ended up trading. Who did they end up trading? I don't remember. But right now they're trying to get draft picks. They're trying to get, at least something out of these expiring contracts. LaVine's contract doesn't expire for at least 3 more years. So that's more of a, trying to do a solid for him, since he is now on the wrong side of 30. And trying to get him on a team that he can actually compete on. But DeRozan's contract expires at the end of the season, and he's made no bones about wanting to go play for the Lakers. But then again, he made no bones about wanting to go play for the Lakers years ago, and he ended up signing with Chicago. So take that how you want. But another team that could be on the lookout is Portland. They are rebuilding. They are trying to build around the young guys like DeAndre Ayton, Scoot Henderson. They're going to probably look to offload some of the veterans on that team, guys like Malcolm Brogdon, guys like Jeremy Grant. And it's very possible that they could be looking for more draft picks as well. I mean, they already got 3 draft picks from Milwaukee in the Damian Lillard trade, but, don't tell them that. But the one team that I'm a little surprised by is the Golden State Warriors. There is rumors going about that the Warriors are potentially going to be looking to trade Klay Thompson. Yeah. And again, kind of going back to the theme of things, Klay Thompson's contract is expiring at the end of the season. There's been no forward movement on a new contract on either side. The Warriors have offered a new contract to Klay, and Klay has denied it or declined it. So where does that leave the Warriors? Klay Thompson, despite the fact that he's struggling right now, despite the fact that he's nowhere close to where he was, a couple of years ago, a few years ago, before he shredded his Achilles. Was it his Achilles or ACL? I can't remember. Before he had to sit out an entire year, is what I wanted to say. He may not be that same guy, but he's still a pretty good player. And if a team like the Lakers or Milwaukee or Boston felt like he was had for the right price, they'd probably do it. But he's not the only player for the Warriors that is on the trade block, rumoredly. You also have a guy that's currently sitting on the bench. His name is Chris Paul. Again, former All-Star. Nowhere near the player that he once was, but can still provide value. I'm a little surprised, and I'll tell you why. Ever since he left the Clippers, every team Chris Paul has been on, he's made better. When he went to Houston, he got that team to the Western Conference Finals and practically within a game of the NBA Finals. They were that close. When he went to Oklahoma City, he turned a team that was winning maybe 15, 16, 17 games a year and turned it into a playoff team overnight. He turned a fledgling, struggling Phoenix team into the power that it is today. And say what you will about Kevin Durant, say what you will about Devin Booker, say what you will about any of the guys that are on there right now, Phoenix is a lot better off now after Chris Paul than they were before he got there. There's no disputing that. So when he went to the Warriors in that Jordan Poole trade, in my mind, I was thinking, well, he's taken a team that was maybe 6th or 7th best in the West, and he's probably going to take that team to the top. That was my logic, and that was my mindset going into this season because of his track record. But not only has he not made the Warriors better, he's practically made them worse. Right now, if the playoffs were to start today, Golden State with the 4th worst record in the Western Conference wouldn't even be in the play-in. They would be missing out entirely. So, trading Chris Paul is probably a better idea. And then you have Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins is probably going to wind up being traded very soon. I'm a little surprised that he hasn't been traded already, to be honest with you. Now, why do I think that he's going to be traded soon? Well, right now he's the starting small forward, the starting 3 spot for the Warriors. You have Curry at the 1, Klay at the 2, Andrew Wiggins at 3, Draymond Green, who's back, by the way, at the 4, and then I can't remember who's at the center spot. But you also have a guy on the bench, not named Chris Paul, who's frustrated because he's putting in really good stats and he's putting in the work, and he's actually doing really well right now. Jonathan Kuminga. And he's even, gone to Steve Kerr and said, look, I'm doing everything I can for this team, and I don't feel like I'm getting the respect that I deserve. I need to be a starter on this team. The only problem is the only way to make him a starter is to make some room. He was starting at the power forward spot alongside Wiggins while Draymond was serving his undisclosed or undefined suspension. And then when Draymond got back, obviously you're not going to bench Draymond Green and you're not going to bench Andrew Wiggins, even though neither of them have been, putting forth really all that great numbers. So what do? My opinion is that Wiggins is probably going to end up being the one gone. And Kuminga ends up stepping in that spot. Now, I don't know what that means for the Warriors' playoff chances. I think as loaded and as tough as the Western Conference is, I don't see how they wind up getting into the play-in. Unless Utah ends up tanking, and then they've still got Houston ahead of them before they even reach the 10 spot. And the reason I think Utah's probably going to end up tanking is simple. Their first round pick for this year is only top 10 protected. If they fall outside the top 10, that pick goes to Memphis. So it's very, very likely, if the Jazz continue to compete, that they will not have a draft pick at all this season. And I know that's going to really gnaw at Danny Ainge because the dude loves his draft picks. Maybe too much. But I don't suspect that the players are going to be okay with tanking just so they can draft another young guy. I'm going to probably do a dedicated episode sometime, maybe after the season or something, about tanking, because I think there's a psychological thing regarding tanking and regarding a culture of losing. And we're starting to see that with the Detroit Pistons. Well, we've been seeing it for a few years now with the Detroit Pistons, who, by the way, are now 6-42. So they've still not won any more games since the last time we did Detroit Watch. So there's your Detroit Watch update. Now, who do I think is going to wind up getting who? I still think Andrew Wiggins is going to be part of a much bigger multi-team trade. I don't think Andrew Wiggins is going to be, a trade all by himself. Now, obviously, Pascal Siakam is off the board. Toronto ended up trading him to Indiana. But who do I think could be involved in that trade? I think Detroit has a good solid shot. I still think, even though they have been playing better, they haven't been winning too many games, but they've been playing better. I still think there is going to be a trade involving the Detroit Pistons and involving Bojan Bogdanovic. And I think, given the Warriors' proclivities with, long-range shooting. I mean, the Warriors practically reinvented the game by making it about, working the outside first and then going in. But I think that the Warriors are going to end up trading Wiggins to Detroit for Bojan Bogdanovic. I still think Bojan going to the Warriors is the ultimate goal. Now, what does that mean for the lineup? Obviously, you're going to still want to make room for Kuminga. But because, again, the Warriors have practically reinvented the game and were the ones that really originally ushered in this era of positionless ball. You move Draymond Green to the 5. You bring Bogdanovic in at the 4. Whoever's currently at the 5 obviously is going to be pissed that he's getting benched for a guy that got suspended for punching an opponent, but whatever. And then you bring Kuminga in up at the 3. You don't want to trade Andrew Wiggins for the sake of trading Andrew Wiggins. You're going to want to at least get something out of the guy. Another potential, as far as that goes, is I mentioned Hayward and I mentioned the Hornets. Is there a possibility that the Warriors and the Hornets could do a straight up swap between Chris Paul and Gordon Hayward? That would be disastrous, I think. Now, unlike Draymond, Hayward has shown in the past that he's willing to take a bench role if he feels that a teammate is doing better. He did this in Boston when Jalen Hurts and Jason Tatum were kind of on the ascent. But that would be a log jam at the 3 and 4. I still think Wiggins is probably going to be the best option, as far as being the one that's traded. Now, obviously, where is that going to leave someone like DeJounte Murray or Clint Capella? DeJounte Murray, I am thoroughly convinced, is not going anywhere, at least not in a trade. Because the Lakers are the only ones that he was mildly interested in going to. But unfortunately, they don't really have the assets to trade for him. Because not only is Atlanta asking for fair market value in terms of players, but they're also asking for draft picks. Which right now, the Lakers don't have. They have no tradable draft picks until the year 2028. So, where does that leave, the Lakers, as they're trying to make these moves, trying to make these trades? Because keep in mind, DeJounte Murray is not the only guy that they're after. They're going after Levine. They're going after DeRozan. They're going after Draymond. They're going after Clay. They're going after all these guys, but they don't have any draft picks. And I just don't see, any other team in the Western Conference, at the very least, that's willing to, pitch in draft picks just so the Lakers can get who they want. That's just not a thing that's not smart business. You don't want to just give something to someone without getting something of equal value in return. So if someone like a New York, like I'm blanking on who all has draft picks at this point. There's been so many trades. Or Oklahoma City. If Oklahoma City were to say, yeah, sure, we'll pitch in a few draft picks, but it's going to cost you. They're going to end up wanting someone, really good on the Lakers. They're going to want someone like an Austin Reeves, like a D'Angelo Russell, like a, trying to think of names here outside the big two, obviously. Or like a Rui Hachimura. You know, one of those guys is probably going to end up getting traded, and then there goes all your trade value that you had left to go after someone like a DeJounte Murray or a DeMar DeRozan. I mean, is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No. I just don't see it happening. I think a lot of these players and a lot of these teams need to kind of get over the concept of players dictating where they want to go. I mean, you're not always going to get the team that you want in these trades. It's just bad business practice. Look at what happened with the Donovan Mitchell trade. Donovan Mitchell, I'm sure, when he went to Danny Ainge and when he went to the Jazz organization and said, I would like to be traded. You guys are clearly rebuilding, and I'm not friendly with any of the fans here anymore because the people here suck, which I don't blame him. And I would like to be traded. I'm sure the teams that were on his list of preferred teams, you know, aside from the Knicks and the Nets, were the Cleveland Cavaliers, but you know what? He's made the best of the situation. He's turned that Cavaliers team around. He's made them a power in the Eastern Conference. I mean, do you honestly think the Cleveland Cavaliers would be number 4 in the Eastern Conference with a 30-win, 16-loss record right now if not for Donovan Mitchell? I don't. They would probably be somewhere where Atlanta or Brooklyn are right now. So yes, I think if DeJounte Murray or DeMar DeRozan or Zach LaVine or any of these guys that I've been talking about for the last 28 minutes, if any of those guys were traded to like a, say, Minnesota or Memphis or, you know, someone that's not the Lakers, it's not going to be the end of the world. It's not going to be the end of their career as we know it. Oh my God, the sky is falling. They'll make the best of the situation. They'll make the best of a bad situation, and they'll do what they can to try and keep their name value up. Again, it's bad business practice to intentionally sabotage a team just because it's not the Lakers. It's not the team that I requested to be traded to. Plus, keep in mind with all these expiring contracts, you're not just looking to be traded to someplace that you're going to eventually re-sign. It's, again, good business practice to want to go to a team, even if it's only for a couple of months, and show out. So if you're a DeJounte Murray and you end up getting traded to, say, Houston, you're going to want to put your best foot forward and show people, this is what I can do. You're auditioning not just for the team that you're playing for, you're auditioning for your next contract. So you're practically leaving millions and millions and millions of dollars on the table just because you didn't get your way. To me, that screams childish. And I would like to think that these basketball players, these professionals, professional athletes, are smarter than that. I would like to think. But then again, we also like to think that Vin Baker was going to live up to the contract that he got back in '94, and he didn't. I would like to think that Draymond Green is more mature than punching his own teammates' face off, eventually rendering him talentless. But he isn't. Yeah. But trade deadline's in a few days. You know me, I'll probably be back on here February 9th with another Sports Central episode. And who knows, I may end up dropping my Super Bowl picks on that episode. I don't know. Pro Bowl is this weekend. And I can tell you exactly what my Pro Bowl prediction is right now. 5 people would watch, even less are going to care. And if I had to pick an MVP for this flag football farce that we still are trotting out there because we don't know any other way to do an all-star game in the NFL, I would have to say my MVP is probably going to be gun to my head. Who do I think would be the? It's obviously going to be a quarterback. Let me do some rudimentary research here. So let me just look at this here. Okay, so thank you for holding tight. So oh yeah. Well, I don't need to look at the rosters anymore. My MVP is going to be CJ Stroud. Because he's young enough and inexperienced enough, he is a rookie after all, to not know that this is an exhibition game. He's probably going to treat it like the playoff game that he should have gotten last week. So yeah, there's that. In any event, if you would like to leave a review on Spotify, reviews are nice. If you're watching this on Facebook, like, share, and comment. If you are watching this on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for notifications that way. If a new video drops, you are one of the first to be alerted. And I want to thank everyone for downloading, for listening, for watching, for donating, for doing everything you can to make this train chug along. Your efforts, especially you guys on YouTube. I know you. I know who you are. I've been seeing the stats. You guys are doing awesome. You're doing great. Keep it up. Thank you. And I'm going to go get ready to go sample hot sauces, because that's the cool thing to do on a Saturday morning. So, take care, guys, and remember to include your closing tags. Thanks.